And Back in the Box Productions proudly brings to you the OMC Week 1 Fantasy Football Wrap Up for Hop Football 2025. That's right, guys. Week 1 is in the books. Pretty amazing. We wait so long for it to get here, and then it shows up and it's over in a blink. And before you know it, we'll be heading towards the playoffs. So let's enjoy it, savor the flavor while we can. I will go through all of the week 1 matchups as they just concluded last night. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. As always, I will start with my own matchup, and that is myself versus Moro's Vikings. We are division opponents, so division matchups are always, very important. You may recall when I did the preview video, ESPN had this as a 17-point advantage for Moro. Didn't really play out that way. Now listen, week 1 was an unusual week. We saw a lot of big names really not, do well, and that can happen. Someone made the point that preseason is handled differently, so maybe it takes these guys a little longer to get going. Who knows what's possible? But anyway, in any event, Moro was the only team, not to dump on Moro here, but Moro was the only team who did not crack 100 this particular weekend. So this was a good fellas victory, 129 to 95. I'm going to leave off the decimals here. So 129 to 95. Let's take a look at what happened here. So on Moro's side, we had Jalen Hurts, who had a nice game. A nice game versus Dallas on a Thursday night. He had Bucky Irving and Alvin Kamara, who, in terms of projections, came in slightly under their projections, but both of them did score and did well for their teams. I think those are going to be solid players for Moro as the season goes on. Where he really had some issues was in the receiver set. You had Ja'Marr Chase and A.J. Brown, who actually put up a combined under 6 points between the two of them. Ja'Marr Chase was the consensus number 1 all summer long, and he came out and, laid an egg. And you're going to hear this theme a couple of times throughout this recording today, and that is that the Cincinnati Bengals are notoriously slow starters. So perhaps this shouldn't have come as a surprise. Now, I'm not suggesting that you bench Ja'Marr Chase. Absolutely not. In fact, when we get to my side, you'll see I started the other Bengal receiver. So, I'm not saying these are tough decisions, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Also, in the flex, Jalen Waddle and Jaylen Warren. Interesting, 2 guys named Jalen. Jalen Waddle came out of the game for a period of time with an injury. He's a player that I kind of targeted during the draft and didn't get him. I had high hopes for him. This week 1 didn't play out that way. Jaylen Warren, I think he got a bit more of a vote of confidence signing an extension with Pittsburgh as the premier or number 1 running back. Didn't find a lot of running room versus the Jets, but did salvage the day with a touchdown catch to his credit. Mark Andrews at the tight end. Where have you gone, Mark Andrews? More of the same. I think we thought that he might have an opportunity for a good game in week 1 with Isaiah Likely out. However, Mark Andrews was way low on the chart in terms of targets and managed, I believe, only 1 catch on the night, 1.5 points on the weekend. Texans defense, I'm not going to get too much into defense, kicker, coach, unless there's something outrageous. The one thing I will say is he did have, and again, this was a 30-point win. He did have Ravens head coach, and the Ravens shouldn't have lost that game. That would have been an 8-point swing. It would have been a little bit closer. On the bench, a couple of interesting things I wanted to take note of. He did bench George Pickens, which turned out to be a fairly good move because he didn't do much of anything. And other than that, J.J. McCarthy on the bench as a quarterback had a real nice game last night, so maybe he's going to do some things. We'll see. On my side of the ledger, we had Jaden Daniels. Did score under 20 points, not what you want from your MVP quarterback, although, again, he had the rushing yards going. I think better days are to come for him. Christian McCaffrey, they talked about him being injured a couple of days before the game, and all of a sudden he was questionable, and everybody was busting my balls and everything because it's like, oh, you took CMC so early and now he's injured already. Whatever. Listen, injuries are going to always be a concern. Is his risk a little higher than others? Maybe. As it turns out, all of his supporting players on the Niners got hurt. Kittle, Purdy, Jennings. But CMC came out okay. He put up 23 points to be right at the top in terms of running back points for the week. So we're right on par there. Where we did have a bit of an issue is Ken Walker. It was noted that Ken Walker really did split time with Charbonnet, who I also roster. Problem is that if it's going to be a true split, who do you start week to week? Goodfellow's got some work to do there. On the receiver side, again, a little bit down. Drake London, 13.5 points. The one thing I said about Drake London going into the season, though, was that I thought he would be a target monster, and he absolutely was. 15 targets on the day, and he didn't even finish the game. Went out with a shoulder injury. Waiting on words from the doctors there, we'll see. T. Higgins and the whole Cincinnati Bengals, even though they did win the game, didn't have a great statistical day. Better days ahead for T. Nice little 12.7 points for Travis Kelce on Thursday night. Was it Thursday night? Friday night. T-Mac McMillan scored me just under 12 points. He's a rookie receiver that I think is going to have some success this year. Again, targets, opportunities. He's going to get them. He led the team by a long shot. Dave Montgomery didn't break double digits, only 8 points versus Green Bay, but I believe Green Bay might be one of the best defenses in football. Better days ahead for Detroit. 49ers with a nice 15 points versus Seattle in terms of the defense, and of course they win as well. I had their head coach as well. On the bench, a couple of interesting things. Caleb Williams, 24.2 points, actually outscored Mr. Potential MVP Jaden Daniels with 24.2 points. Keenan Allen returned from the dead, 19.8 points. I wonder if that's a sign of things to come, and if so, that could be very beneficial because I have some injury concerns to deal with as well. So anyway, after you factor everything in, 129-95, Goodfellas gets the best of Mora's Vikings. Listen, Mora, straight up, I believe you have a good team. I do. I said you were happy with your team after the draft. I think it's a good team. I was very confident in the win this week. Got it. But we will meet again, my friend. Moving on. All right, moving on. We go to Scooters Boys. Rick Erdlin taking on Hops, Chop, Block, Mr. Eddie Cook in his first game of his Hop campaign. And you know what, Mr. Rookie? Took the loss. 133-108. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. On Scooters Boys' side, we had Brock Purdy putting in just under 20 points. Tough game versus Seattle. Okay, not a lot of points scored. Excuse me. Not a lot of points scored. Look out for Purdy's injury. He might miss week 2. On the running back side, Saquon Barkley and A-Chain. Nice points here. 18 and 16 respectively. Saquon was Saquon. Had a great game. Really played well, but is capable of so much more. A-Chain and the Dolphins are a mess right now, and A-Chain was the only one to do anything, and he salvaged it with a garbage touchdown at the end. But points are points, and they count too. On the receiver side, Ladd McConkey, Mike Evans, 13 and 10 points respectively. Again, seemed to be a down week for a lot of receivers, a lot of named receivers all across the league. So I think we're going to see a lot more moving forward. What else? In the flex, we had R.J. Harvey and DeAndre Swift. Neither one of them cracked double digits. The Harvey one is interesting because you have Dobbins over there, and we're kind of still shaking out to see how that's going to play out. DeAndre Swift looked good at times, and I think I'm on record as saying I think the Bears are a pretty good team this year. They did lose last night on Monday night, but I like Swift. I think he's going to have some really good days. Heartbreaker here, George Kittle, 12 points. Was on his way to a really, really breakout day. However, went out with a hamstring injury and was immediately ruled out. Since then, word has come. It looks like a 3 to 5 week injury. That's a tough one. Kittle, I think, was in line for a career year. On the other side for Eddie, Bo Nix, 7.8 points. You simply need more than that from your quarterback. Really challenging. Chase Brown, 13 points. Travion Henderson, 12 points. A combined 25 points from your starting running backs. Okay. I mean, Travion, we already said we weren't 100% sure what he was going to bring to the table, but he did okay. He did okay. Then you had Tyreek Hill and Jerry Jeudy on the receiver side, 8 points and 11 points respectively. Not much to say there. Tyreek's a mess. The Finns are a mess. It bears watching. Evan Engram, 5 points. Went out with injury, waiting on word. There were a bunch of injuries this year, or this week. And then on the flex side, you had a couple of double J's. Justin Jefferson, Josh Jacobs. Of course, properly placed in the flex position, considering they were, or Justin Jefferson playing on the Monday Nighter. 14.8 and 14 points respectively. Again, Justin Jefferson's probably one of the best receivers in the league, and I think there's going to be some really good days there. And Josh Jacobs really did look good, and I think Green Bay is going to have a dream season. They are a team to watch for sure. As far as kicker, coach, defense, nothing much to speak of there, but I do want to look at the benches here. Okay. On Scooter's Boys side, 17 points from Jacoby Myers. Guy's been asking for a trade out of Vegas, but he had a nice game. Maybe we'll see if that calms the waters a little bit. Vegas has undergone some changes on the receiver side, so we'll see if Myers is, we'll see if, how he does, excuse me, moving forward. Hollywood Brown, 19.9 points. A lot of interesting things going on in KC. Xavier Worthy gets hurt. Hollywood Brown became a target monster in that first game. Now, again, always tricky to see when someone gets hurt in game because then the game plan's out the window. Will they continue to game plan Hollywood to be the number one guy? Should be interesting in KC. And the other thing of note, Justin Fields, 30 points, 30.5 points, for example, or to be exact, on his bench. And Fields looked pretty good. We've been, busting his chops a little bit, but I hear some of the professionals talking about him being a top 8 quarterback in the league, and that's hard to fathom, but he's got those wheels, man. He's got those wheels, and a really good game with the Jets in Pittsburgh, despite Pittsburgh getting the win. On Eddie's side, he had a lot of points on the bench. Cortland Sutton with 18, Ricky Pearsall 19, Keon Coleman 30. So there were a lot of points there. This ended up being a 25 point loss. I'm not suggesting that there's changes that I would have suggested to give him the win, but he did have a lot of points on the bench. The good thing about that is that makes you feel better about the future. You didn't just get blown out and the whole team sucked. So tough loss for Eddie on the first hop tilt of his fantasy career. But 133 to 108. Good job, Rick. Congratulations. Again, this was a division matchup. You want to win those, right? Congratulations, Rick. Tough loss, Eddie. It's only 1 week. Moving on. Okay, now we move on to the Polar Bears, and we move on to the champ, formerly known as the Chosen Ones. The champ goes down in his first matchup of the title defense. 173-132. That's a 41-point difference. Let's look at the tail of the tape. I'm going to start on Rick Penner's side. Josh Allen, 46.76 points. I'm going to tell you the truth. Josh Allen is capable of putting up 60, 70 points. He's also capable of some duds because it depends on what he's being asked to do. But he put his team on his back in that game against the Ravens in that amazing Sunday Nighter. And the end result is fantasy gold. So 46 points for him. On the running back side, Jahmyr Gibbs, Austin Eckler, 15 and 8 points respectively. Interesting, Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 points, did not have a good game. Majority of those points are because we're a PPR league and he got 10 receptions, but I think that yielded him like 30 yards, which is some kind of record. Detroit looks off offensively, so we'll see if that's just an anomaly because they played a phenomenal Green Bay team, but it bears watching. So Gibbs, 15 points, which is not a bad point total, but a little fluky on how he did it. Austin Eckler, 8 points. Eckler, for what it's worth, did look initially early to serve as the lead back in Washington. We all thought Chris Rodriguez might have a shot. He was a healthy scratch in that game. And then, of course, Bill Krosky Merritt ended up playing a real nice second half. So remains to be seen how that shakes out in Washington. On the receiver side, some nice Marvin Harrison, 18 points. People looking to see if he was going to break out this year. Really good step towards doing that in his game this weekend. DK Metcalf with Pittsburgh, 12 points. I'm a little confused as to what's going on in Pittsburgh because on the surface you might think Rodgers had a great game. He didn't really move all that well. It was kind of interesting. I don't know, but Metcalf, 12 points, not bad. Brock Bowers, 20 points. He lived up to the billing of the number one tight end. Did come out briefly with a knee injury, but it seems that there's nothing to be concerned about there. Rome Odunze looks to take another step towards being a viable receiver in this league, and he ends up with 15 points in a nice, what ended up being kind of a fun game with Chicago and Minnesota last night. And I do think you're going to see some positive regression with Caleb Williams, and that only bodes well for Rome Odunze. So look for good days to come from him. He's a nice receiver. And then Travis Hunter, everyone wanted to see how he was going to play. He ended up under 10 points, but it's still kind of cool to see a guy playing Iron Man football on both sides. And they have high hopes for him. This Jacksonville-Carolina game was out of hand quickly, 26-10, so he didn't need Travis to do a lot there. But I'm expecting pretty good things from him as the year goes on. Let me move over to the chosen ones here. I've been waiting to talk about this because one of the shockers of the draft was he drafted Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Now, listen, I'm the first guy to tell you, anyone can second guess. But I looked at this starting lineup prior to the weekend football, absolutely perplexed as to why Lamar Jackson was not in there and Joe Burrow was. First of all, Cincinnati struggles in the beginning of the season, always. They're playing Cleveland. How many points do you think are going to get scored in Cleveland? And then Lamar Jackson in prime time versus Buffalo. I mean, I didn't understand that at all, and it came to fruition here. Now, the one positive thing for the champ here, he lost by 41 points. Joe Burrow scored 7, Lamar 31. It wouldn't have made a difference in the ultimate win. So take some solace in that, but I didn't understand it at all. Listen, at the end of the day, I'll bust your balls a little bit. If you're going to draft 2 top-tier players at the position, you got to make the right decision. So, anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Yes, it could happen to anyone. This one made no sense. I couldn't even make a case for it. And it was really interesting to see him go that direction. But again, it didn't change the outcome. And then King Henry, 34 points. The guy we were chatting about it the night of the game. The guy is just so much fun to watch on this team. He's so much fun to watch. He was on my team last year. Kind of wish he was on my team this year. Because, man, he's fun to watch. 34 points, couple of long touchdowns. Really just amazing stuff. But then the story kind of goes downhill. Isaiah Pacheco, under 5 points in Kansas City. Didn't look good. Looked to split a lot of time with Kareem Hunt. Nico Collins, 5.5 points. Xavier Worthy, 0. Injuries are going to happen. There's nothing you can do about that. Nico with only 5.5 points versus the Rams. I think the Rams are going to have a sneaky good defense. What I'm a little concerned about in Houston, I love Nico Collins, is what's going on with C.J. Stroud? Is he going to take a step forward in his third year? Or is he going to continue to regress like he did last year? Tyler Warren at tight end, 14.9 points. Every bit as advertised in his first game. Now, granted, he had Danny Dimes throwing to him. Indianapolis versus Miami. Miami looked like an absolute mess. The competition gets a little tougher for Indy as time moves forward, so we'll see. But Tyler Warren definitely looked like a focal point and a really nice pickup there. Bill Krosky Merritt. He plays him 14 points. Again, had a nice run in the game, started to pick up a little bit towards the end of the game. Is he going to emerge? And then the one that I'm kind of excited about, Emeka Egbuka, 23 points, 2 touchdowns in his first game with Tampa. Is that a sign of things to come? It's really a nice start. Again, kickers, defense coach, I don't really get too much into, but I do have to point out a 19-point effort from the kicker in Fairbairn. So not too bad there. I would like to touch on a couple of things on the bench. On Rick's side, excuse me, it looks like the question's been answered as to who the lead back is in Jacksonville, because Travis Etienne put up a nice 23 points. And if you didn't hear the news, Tank Bigsby was traded last night to Philadelphia, meaning Etienne is the lead back in Jacksonville. Perhaps his career will be resurrected with Liam Cohen Duval. We'll see if he's going to do good things for Etienne. Deebo Samuel, 24 points, and he picked up the same role that he did with the Niners. Thing about Deebo is he's great when he's in there. The guy's always hurt, so we'll see how much he actually plays this year. But a nice 24 points, again, on his bench, but could be a nice player. One other item of note, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp looks to be completely done and washed up. And he's 3.5 points. Everyone said it. I saw some videos. The guy just looks like he's completely done. So I think I don't know what you're going to get from him. On CB's side, a couple of items of note. We already touched on Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to go there. Javonte Williams, 20 points. That was on Thursday night. He got his chain pulled a little bit. Why he didn't start Javonte. And looking at who he did start, you could have made a case to start him over Pacheco versus a tough, till you see what Pacheco's role was. But no one thinks Javonte is going to be great. He had a great game. I think it's a mirage. That's my personal opinion. Cedric Tillman, 16 points in Cincinnati with Cleveland versus Cincinnati. So there were some points on the bench here. Add it all up, 173, 132. The champ takes a loss. The one good thing for Chris, this was not a division matchup, and that does make a difference later on in terms of potential playoffs, and stuff like that. So anyway, great job, Rick. Chris, tough loss in the first week, but it's only week 1. So moving on, we go Southpaw. Craig Roloff taking on the Brooklyn Baller, the other MC. And other MC pulls it out, 150 to 127. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. On Craigie's side, Baker Mayfield, 27 points. Looked good. Mr. Baker, the touchdown maker. This matchup started with Bijan Robinson catching a long touchdown pass. And he ended up with 35 points on the day, living up to the billing as the number 1 overall running back in terms of ADP in the draft. Tony Pollard, 7.9. What happened to the receivers here? Again, same old story across the league. A lot of receivers had down weeks. Brian Thomas, 9 points. Devonta Smith, 4.6. On the flex side, we had Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, 4.7 and 8.6 respectively. DJ Moore, last night, got a little dinged up. Caleb maybe wasn't the most accurate later on in the game, but I think good days are there, to come for that team. Tight end, 12 points from Trey McBride. McBride's going to be there all year, I think. He's another one that's a really good PPR tight end. So anyway, kind of top heavy, but it was, 127 points. Not enough to get the win. Looking over on the Brooklyn Baller side, very heavy Detroit. Goff with only 8.9 points, though. Again, Detroit did not look that great. I watched the majority of that game. Didn't look great. What was encouraging here was Breece Hall. Breece Hall looked fantastic. And there was a lot of question marks as to whether or not he was going to be the lead back. Is he going to split time with Braylon Allen? What's that going to look like? He very much looked like the lead back. And he's so that bodes really well for OTMC. Aaron Jones, I made a comment during the game last night, and I stand by this. Jordan Mason will take over as the starting running back there. But Aaron Jones, on the back of a really nice play, touchdown reception last night, ends up with 15.7 points. I think he's going to end up, I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to get Mason is going to be the early yardage back, and you're going to have Jones be the pass catching back. That's the way I see it shaking out. Jordan Mason just looked really good running the ball last night. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8.5 points. Again, Lions. Concerned about them. Not just them. Puka Nacua, 28 points. Fantastic. This guy is a warrior. Went out there, got his face busted in. He looked like he was in a prize fight. Came back out, 28 points. Great game. The highest point getter for the Lions. Sam Laporta, 13.9 points. Looked to be a frequent sort of dump-off guy for Goff. Had a nice game. Jameson Williams, 6.6 points. A lot of points scored for Mr. Zay Flowers in Baltimore. I seem to remember that other MC didn't want to draft Zay Flowers. When he did, he said it was like the wrong player or something like that. Came out, was his high point scorer of the day, 33.1 points. So really great game from Zay and a high scoring primetime matchup. I have to mention the kicker. He did go and replace Justin Tucker with Brandon Aubrey, and he got him 14 points. Looking at the bench, on Craigie's side, he did decide to keep the Charger running backs on the side till that shakes out. Turned out to be a good move because Amari and Hampton only 8 points, Najee 2. So Hampton looked to be the guy. We'll see what happens, but that was very much a passing game script in that game. So Stephon Diggs, 11 points. Khalil Shakir, 12 points. A couple of, point getters on the bench. And Dallas Goedert, 11 points on the bench. Dylan Sampson, Cleveland, 17 points. He did all of it through the air, though. And I don't know what that means for the roles over there. Judkins apparently signed, and they're saying that he might play week 2. There's some things to see how it shakes out over there in Cleveland. Another MC side, J.K. Dobbins, 14 points. Jordan Love, again, just under 20 points, is going to be a player. Jaden Reed is like a magician. Some days he's there, and some days he's not. So it should be interesting to see how he does this year and if he can maintain consistency. Wan'Dale Robinson, 12 points. The Giants were an absolute offensive mess in that game. So to get 12 points from Wan'Dale, kudos to you. Dalton Kincaid, 14 points from Buffalo. Ironically enough, well, that's a nice point total. He was very low on the target. He got very few targets in that game, but he did score a touchdown. And then Packers D, 17 points, sitting on the bench there. Add it all up. Brooklyn Baller gets his win, 150 to 127 in a pivotal division matchup. Brooklyn Baller and I are in the same division, and we are the two undefeated teams. Everyone else took the loss this week. So division, that'll be a race for the whole season. So congratulations, Craig. It's only one game, my friend. Okay, moving on. Last matchup of the week and the closest matchup of the week. Matt and Archop defeat Errol and the Polish Powers by just over 10 points. So let's take a look at what happened. On Errol's side, Patrick Mahomes, 26 points. Really interesting to see what happens with Kansas City moving forward. They have some wide receiver things going on. But Mahomes looked good. Got his wheels going, and we'll see if he can keep it up. Jonathan Taylor, 12.8 points. James Cook, 21. CeeDee Lamb, 23. Not bad from a couple of heavy hitters. Devontae Adams didn't break 10. He had 9.1. And then on the flex side, you had Connor and Pittman, 14 and 20 points respectively. Fantastic. Pittman had some good rapport with Danny Dimes, and we'll see if the Colts can keep it up. But I looked at this lineup and I was like, Pittman and Jonathan Taylor, a couple of Colts. I wasn't quite sure how that was going to play out. Worked out well for the most part, even though he took the loss. One item of note, when you lose by 10 points, it's interesting to look at what might have been Lions, -1 point from Lions defensive unit. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. All right. On Matt's side, Dak Prescott, 7.8. 7.8. Did not put up a lot of points there. Ironically enough, had a pretty good game, though. Genti in his first game as an NFL running back, 12 points. Kyron Williams, 13.9. Malik Neighbors, 12. JSN, Smith-Njigba, 24 points. The reason I read it off that way is because Genti, Williams, Neighbors, and Njigba, they all put up double digits or better. You want consistency across the board. We fall off a little bit with Njoku with only 6 points. And then we go back to it with the flex. Garrett Wilson, Chuba Hubbard, 22.5, 17.9 points. Skill players came out to play for Matt's team this week. Nice job. And then again, 10-point win, 25 points from the defense. So 25 points from the defense, -1 from Errol's defense. That's a 26-point swing and a 10-point win for Matt. Every bit, it all matters, guys. It all matters. So let's take a look at the bench. On the bench side, Errol had, let's see, Kyler Murray had a nice game. Not really much else to speak of here. And so I won't. There's not a lot here going on the bench. Chris Godwin's sitting there, but he's at least a month out. But Errol had a nice game overall. He really did. Just a tough break on the defenses. On Matt's side, not a whole lot to speak about either, except Justin Herbert. You know, people stayed away from Herbert. They drafted him late because they thought, hey, it's going to be a running team. I thought the same, and they still might. But that first game versus Kansas City, they came out with a throwing script and 35 points. He did great. So Matt made the point that he had, one of the highest scores in the league. Let's see, is it the highest? No, but it was the second highest. Second highest in the league with the wrong quarterback. So off to a nice start. And, so yeah, Justin Herbert, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts put up 12.9 points. When have you seen double digits from Pitts? Is this a sign of things to come? We will see. Anyway, Matt gets the win, 161-151. That is a division matchup, so kudos to you on that. Errol, tough loss, but it's only 1 week. And there you have it, guys. There's your week 1 wrap-up. A couple of thoughts along the way. It is only 1 week, but you guys know in the blink of an eye, we'll be a month in, 2 months in, and talking playoffs. So enjoy every moment, savor the flavor, and I'll be back in a couple of days with a week 2 preview. The one thing I will say is I don't know if I'm going to be doing the week 2 preview or the preview show. I don't know if I'm going to be doing those before the Thursday night game or if I'm going to do them after, including the results of the Thursday night game. It really kind of depends on the timing. If I do it before the Thursday night game, it leaves a lot of days in between for people to change their lineups, and I don't know. So I have to think about that. If you guys have any thoughts, let me know. Other than that, I appreciate you watching. So glad football is back. Congrats to the winners, to the losers. Pick it up. Pick up the pace. And on that note, I am heading out. OMC coming at you. Week 1 wrap-up. See you guys. Commish out.